How did a 38-horsepower economy car defeat machines with 3 times the power on the world's most brutal rally stages? The answer wasn't hidden inside a bigger engine. It was hidden inside one of the strangest engineering philosophies ever put on 4 wheels, the Saab 96. To understand how this automotive miracle happened, we have to look past the superficial nostalgia and dive straight into the mechanics of the Saab 96. In the early 1960s, mainstream automakers operated under a strict, unyielding dogma. Performance was directly tied to engine displacement and cylinder count. The corporate giants believed that if you wanted to survive a grueling international rally, you needed a massive, heavy iron block pushing power to the rear wheels. The engineers at Saab, however, did not care about conventional wisdom. They didn't even come from the automotive world. They were aircraft designers who spent their days building military fighter jets for the Swedish Air Force. When they sat down to build a practical passenger car for the harsh Scandinavian winters, they bypassed traditional automotive blueprints. Instead, they applied the exact laws of aerodynamics, structural efficiency, and weight distribution that kept aircraft stable in the sky. This aviation lineage was directly visible in the unique silhouette of the Saab 96, which debuted in 1960. The body was sculpted to slice through the air, featuring a clean, slippery profile that tapered gradually toward the rear. While contemporary American cruisers were styled with massive chrome grilles, heavy fins, and flat vertical windshields that acted like literal brick walls against the wind, the Saab 96 achieved a drag coefficient, CD, of approximately 0.37. This was an exceptional metric for a mass-production car of the era, drastically reducing the energy required to fight atmospheric resistance at high speeds. Beneath that strange, rounded hood sat an engine configuration that traditional mechanics openly mocked. A longitudinally mounted 741 cubic centimeter inline 3-cylinder 2-stroke power plant. To put that into perspective, this entire engine had a smaller displacement than a single cylinder inside a standard domestic muscle car V8. For the uninitiated, a 2-stroke engine operates without conventional valves, a camshaft, or even a traditional oil sump. It fires on every single upward stroke of the pistons, relying on a precise mixture of gasoline and oil flowing directly through the crankcase to lubricate its moving parts. To the average driver used to the lazy, low RPM rumble of a massive iron engine, this tiny Swedish motor sounded like an angry chainsaw. It required the driver to keep their foot firmly planted on the accelerator to maintain high RPMs, producing a distinct, high-pitched ring-ting-ting sound. Yet, because the compact engine block was incredibly light, it helped keep the car's total curb weight down to just 803 kilograms. Because the engine only generated 38 horsepower at 4,250 revolutions per minute and 59 pound-feet of torque in standard factory trim, the Saab 96 could not rely on brute force to overtake its rivals on a straightaway. Instead, it relied on a revolutionary mechanical feature that became its ultimate secret weapon: the freewheel transmission system. In a standard vehicle, when a driver lifts their foot off the gas pedal, the engine acts as a natural brake, slowing the car down through mechanical compression resistance. But in a 2-stroke engine, closing the throttle also cuts off the flow of the fuel and oil mixture. If a driver were to coast down a long, steep mountain pass at high speeds with a closed throttle, the engine would quickly starve of lubrication. The moving parts would heat up rapidly, causing a catastrophic engine seizure that would weld the pistons to the cylinder walls. To solve this fatal design flaw, Saab integrated a clever freewheel hub directly into the gearbox, functioning exactly like the mechanism on a common bicycle. When the driver let off the accelerator, the transmission completely disengaged the engine from the wheels. This allowed the chassis to coast smoothly on its own kinetic energy at maximum velocity, while the engine safely dropped down to a quiet, idling speed. This mechanical trick transformed the vehicle into a kinetic energy weapon. On the treacherous, winding downhill mountain passes of the Alps, while V8 drivers were constantly fighting engine braking, wrestling with heavy steering, and overheating their massive drum brakes until they smoked. The Saab 96 driver did exactly the opposite. They stayed off the brakes, kept their momentum completely unbroken, and coasted through the corners at velocities that seemed to challenge the absolute limits of adhesion. It turned its lack of horsepower into a structural advantage that left heavier cars helpless. The second major engineering triumph of the Saab 96 was its drivetrain layout. During an era when almost every major performance car pushed power through the rear wheels, Saab stuck resolutely to front-wheel drive. In deep snow, thick mud, and loose gravel, this layout changed the physics of vehicle handling entirely. In a rear-wheel drive car, the pushing force of the rear tires tends to rotate the vehicle around its center of mass on slick surfaces, causing the rear end to swing out uncontrollably. Conversely, the front wheels of the Saab actively pulled the chassis where the driver pointed the steering wheel, inherently stabilizing the car's trajectory. Furthermore, because the lightweight three-cylinder engine and the transaxle were hanging directly over the front drive wheels, the weight of the powertrain acted as a natural press, forcing the narrow 15-inch tires deep into the snow to find hidden traction. While heavy, rear-wheel drive sports cars with massive torque numbers were spinning their tires helplessly, digging themselves into early graves along the snowy banks of the rally stages. The light Swedish sedan skipped effortlessly over the surface, maintaining a straight, stable line through conditions that grounded almost every other competitor. But rally racing is not just about moving forward. It is about surviving the inevitable violence of the terrain. Drawing directly from their aerospace heritage, Saab engineers designed the 96 using an advanced steel unibody structure rather than the traditional body-on-frame architecture common in the early 1960s. The pillars supporting the roof were thick, reinforced steel tubes, integrated into a central safety cage designed to protect the occupants in the event of an aviation crash. This extreme stiffness gave the car an incredible level of torsional rigidity, meaning the suspension components could do their jobs perfectly without the body twisting or flexing under immense stress. This robust engineering gave rise to the legendary exploits of Erik Karlsson, Saab's premier factory driver, whose towering physical stature earned him the nickname Karlsson on the roof. Because the roads were narrow and the ice was unforgiving, Karlsson would frequently push the Saab 96 past the absolute limit, resulting in spectacular rollovers where the car would slide into ditches or flip upside down. Due to the aircraft-spec strength of the roof pillars, the cabin never collapsed. During the historic 1962 and 1963 running of the Monte Carlo Rally, Karlsson and his co-driver would simply climb out of a flipped car, gather a few spectators, roll the lightweight 803-kilogram vehicle back onto its narrow tires, pull-start the resilient two-stroke motor, and blast back onto the course to win the stage. It was a level of structural durability that traditional body-on-frame vehicles simply could not match, without adding hundreds of pounds of cumbersome weight, ultimately securing back-to-back overall victories in both years. When rival teams compared their results and analyzed stage times after those early 1960s races, the corporate teams simply couldn't comprehend how they were losing to a car with triple less power output. The car's success forced the development of an entirely new style of driving that left traditional racers completely bewildered: left-foot braking. Developed by Scandinavian drivers to exploit the unique properties of front-wheel drive and the freewheel transmission, this method revolutionized loose-surface motorsport. In a front-wheel drive configuration, entering an icy corner too quickly typically causes the front tires to lose grip and slide wide of the apex. To counteract this, drivers kept their right foot securely pinned to the floorboards, keeping that tiny three-cylinder engine screaming high in its power band to maintain front-wheel pulling power. Simultaneously, the driver would slam down onto the brake pedal using their left foot. This dual input created a brilliant mechanical loophole. The engine's torque overcame the braking force at the front wheels, allowing them to continue pulling the vehicle forward. However, The brakes easily locked up the unpowered rear wheels, breaking their traction. This swung the rear of the car into a controlled slide, perfectly aiming the nose of the car into the apex of the corner. The moment the trajectory was correct, the driver released the brake pedal with their left foot, and the front traction pulled the car forward instantly. This technique allowed the Saab 96 to navigate highly technical, snowy sectors with minimal speed loss, avoiding the heavy braking and subsequent acceleration lag that plagued conventional rear-wheel drive competitors. As the 1960s progressed, evolving consumer expectations and tightening emission standards signaled the twilight of the automotive two-stroke engine. Saab required a more conventional four-stroke power plant to remain competitive both in commercial showrooms and on the international rally circuit. However, the compact, aerodynamic engine bay of the 96 posed a severe packaging constraint. An inline four-cylinder engine would require lengthening the nose of the car, destroying its carefully calculated weight distribution and iconic silhouette. In 1967, Saab resolved this issue through a brilliant piece of cross-company adaptation, sourcing a highly compact 60-degree 1.5-litre V4 engine from Ford of Europe. By arranging the four cylinders into a short V configuration, the engine block was structurally no longer than the original three-cylinder two-stroke unit, allowing it to drop directly into the existing engine bay. The introduction of the V4 engine raised factory output to 65 horsepower and 85 pound-feet of torque, while increasing the total curb weight to 873 kilograms. Despite the shift to a four-stroke cycle, Saab retained the freewheel transmission system, allowing drivers to continue utilizing their established momentum-based driving techniques. The upgraded powertrain extended the competitive lifespan of the platform significantly. In 1968, Swedish driver Stig Blomqvist utilized a modified V4 model to dominate domestic and international events, culminating in an overall victory at the RAC Rally in 1971, proving the fundamental soundness of the chassis architecture over nearly 2 decades of production. For consumers, the street-legal Saab 96 offered pure, winter-ready utility over superficial styling, featuring sparse cabin ergonomics easily operated with heavy gloves. Early two-stroke models required precise oil mixing and owner adaptation, making it an instrument of purposeful engineering for drivers prioritizing durability. Ultimately, the Saab 96 proved that structural integrity, aerodynamic balance, and engineering intelligence triumph over brute force. Decades later, this aviation-inspired masterpiece reminds us that mechanical greatness isn't measured by engine size, but by the thinking behind it.